And a good afternoon, Baldy. How the heck are you?
He's in the building!
I'm doing great, guys. I'm doing great, man. We're like at, midpoint or something like that, and holding up good, and looking forward to, the slate of games is coming up weekend.
I love it, man. You're always bringing in the energy. Did you get a good workout in today, though, Baldy?
I just left Lane Johnson's house. I was in the barn. Just saw Lane. It's his day off today for the Eagles, and just kind of catching up around stuff around the league. And so, yeah, I got all the power lifting in his barn, and I'm ready to go here, breaking up the day. I'm ready to get back in the film room.
Baldy, any chance you're going to be the OC for Jeff Saturday this weekend?
No way. I don't know what Jeff's thinking about. That's I don't know how anybody can win in that situation. Like everybody's talking about it, obviously, but I played for the Colts. I know Jimmy Irsay. I don't know. Like I think this is such a stretch for a team that seems so broken right now that I can't believe this is the panacea to turning things around.
Yeah, it is a crazy situation, and I don't know all the situations you've seen over the years, but can you see a way out for the Colts when you have leadership like that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, because I don't, like, I put myself in Jeff's shoes yesterday when the announcement came, and I was like, what would I do? Like, I'm not that much different than Jeff. I'm a little bit older, but I mean, played the same amount of time and been an analyst and study all this stuff. I'm trying to think, like, where would I start? And I don't know. Like, obviously, you gather the coaches together, you gather the players together, you sit down, you watch the last couple games, see where the weaknesses are. The one thing, if I was Jeff, the one thing I would do and I would work on is their offense line's awful. And, for whatever reason. And, the quarterback got sacked 9 times last week against the Patriots. And I would do my best to try to fix the offensive line, because when you get that fixed, you've got a chance, at least for offense, to hang on to the ball, you possess the ball, move the ball, all those things, and it's got to start up front. So that would, that's his expertise. So that would be my concentration right now on whatever input I could, apply.
So, of course, our concentration here is Cowboys and the NFC East and the Eagles, and you're coming out of Lane Johnson's barn working out. What's the buzz there internally for these guys right now? Do they think they have a special team?
I think they know they have, a good locker room. I think the record surprises all those guys. I don't think anybody, in August or July thought they'd be 8-0 at this point. They're not really too hung up on it. It's a good locker room. They got a good mix of veteran guys and young guys. The one guy that has made there's a couple guys that have made a huge difference, but A.J. Brown is a difference maker, and when you get that kind of a guy at the X receiver position, your quarterback play is going to be better. The passing game is going to be better. Like he's made a big difference to the locker room. He's just a physical specimen. Guy works hard. Does everything right. Like exactly what you want at that number one wide receiver position. I think he's been just a huge addition to this team. Everybody can kind of feel it.
Baldy, you mentioned the Colts and their offensive line struggles, and I think a big reason the Eagles have had success is how good their offensive line has been. Who do you think has the best offensive line in football right now?
Well, I think the Eagles are up there, right now. But I think there's a lot of teams that are making a real commitment to running the football right now in Chicago, in New York, in Seattle. And the way that they're doing it is basically with tight ends and fullbacks and, tight ends that can really block, not just guys that are getting in the way, but they're really helping the run game. And, I think as those teams I just mentioned try to kind of rebuild themselves, Seattle without Russell and on and on and on, Chicago breaking a young quarterback, I think it's a great way to try and possess the ball, shorten the game, and Atlanta's doing the same thing with Mariota, and they're blocking the edges really, really good. And there's a lot of different type of runs that Seattle, Atlanta, Chicago are doing, including, quarterbacks that can scoot and take off with it that are helping them out. The Eagles just do everything well. I mean, they run block really well, and their protection is really sound, and they've got some elite players from Kelsey to Lane to, Mailata for most days. I mean, they're really good up front, and they've really kind of stayed away from the injury bug, to this point.
How far do you think our Cowboys are to getting back up there?
I like the direction the Cowboys are going. I thought they got tested early, obviously with the injury to Dak right away. I thought they did a great job of really protecting Cooper Rush and really working on the run game. You know, Tyler Smith is a difference maker. He's played really, really well in the run game. The tight ends, the two rookie tight ends, you know, Ferguson and Hendershot have been excellent at run blocking and doing what they're asked to do. You know, and I think those have been two huge additions. So you put three rookies out there. You know, will they hit the rookie wall? You know, are they allowed? You know, will they avoid that? Will they continue their good play because they've been a big part of it? And then defensively, you know, obviously, you know, they lead the league in sacks. They can pressure a quarterback. I thought it was a big pickup of Jonathan Hankins. We'll see if he, you know, gets a bigger role in the middle of that defense. They need a fat guy in the middle. Hank can do that. You know, so I think they're poised to make a good run right now.
It's Brian Baldinger with us here in the GBag Nation on 105.3 The Fan. Baldy, how much could this Cowboys offense use a guy like Odell Beckham Jr.?
Well, I think Odell can help him. I mean, you know, he got hurt Super Bowl Sunday. So what is that, 8 months? Like, I don't know. And he's coming back from another torn ACL. Like, I don't know when he's going to be ready. I know he works hard. He's a really good locker room guy, easy guy to get along with. I think he'd fit in real well, like he did with the Rams. He made the Rams immediately better last year. They just so happened they signed him, you know, 2 days before Robert Woods tore his ACL, so it was perfect, you know, perfect transition. And you saw, you know, the difference that he made. And he wasn't screaming for the ball when Cooper Kupp was winning the Triple Crown at receiver. He liked his role. And so I think he can make CD Lamb better. I think he can make Dak better. But, you know, you got to know just what the health is and can he practice every day. And I have no doubt he can learn the offense because ultimately you need a guy that can beat man coverage. Eagles are going to play in man coverage. Playoffs, you're going to see a lot of man coverage. You got to be able to beat the press. And Odell has always been able to do that. So I think he could help the Cowboys a tremendous amount.
Baldy, when you watch the All-22 with the Packers, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, except for one play last week, in their 5-game losing streak, they could not get the deep ball at all. They tried. Last week they got one to Lazard for 47 yards down to the 1-yard line. Then they couldn't score from the 1. But they had no ability to create or strike deep down the field. And so they were kind of nickel and diming, you know, the way down the field, which Aaron Rodgers could do, and the backs are good at doing that. And so they mix it up. They would gain yards. They just couldn't finish drives, and they couldn't get a big chunk. And so any kind of a negative play, whether it was a sack or whether it was a penalty, and they get into a negative situation over these last 5 weeks, they couldn't overcome it. It started against the Giants in London. It happened against the Jets, and you just go through the schedule, and you're like, they're scoring fewer and fewer points. And so that's a big part. And then defensively, like losing Rashawn Gary is huge. He's their best pass rusher. But even with Rashawn, I didn't think they played great defense with the talent that they have on that side of the ball.
It's Brian Baldinger here on The Fan. What's your favorite memory ever of playing at Lambeau?
I caught my only pass at Lambeau. You know, we used to, back in 1988, Ron Meyer was a coach. Eric Dickerson, Albert Bentley were our running backs. We'd get a lead in the fourth quarter. We'd go to the wishbone, had a wishbone quarterback, and they asked me if I would go and block the edge on the wishbone because that was the most important block. I said I would as long as you put a pass in for me. So they said, we'll put a pass in for you, Baldy. So they did. They called my number from the end zone, and I got behind the defense and scooted for 37 yards and led the league in yards per reception that year.
That's amazing.
That is outstanding. Now, is this pre or post? Is this reception of yours pre or post the epic finger injury?
Oh, it's post. Almost everything was post, but you know, like I could catch. I had good hands, and so I could catch the ball one-handed if I had to, and so. But no, I had two hands on it, tucked it away, and look, my proudest moment of it was I got caught by the fastest player in the Green Bay secondary. So there you go. I mean, it took a track athlete to get me down to the ground.
So you did most of your playing career with the hurt finger. Is that the pinky that's all sideways? Yeah.
Thanks to Randy White. So I just taped it for my entire career with the finger next to it, and you know, went about my business.
So, Baldy, you're in Philly. Did you hear about this Chicken Man story?
No.
So there's this chicken man in Philly that apparently ate a rotisserie chicken for 40 days straight, and on the 40th day, apparently everybody in Philadelphia joined just outside of the Walmart parking lot over by the IKEA there in Philadelphia to watch him polish off that 40th rotisserie chicken. Is there one food that you could eat for 40 days straight?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I could eat, barbecue ribs for 40 straight days. But not just 40 straight days. I could eat them at every meal, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 40 straight days. I would never pass it up. Or if you want to give me just a bone-in ribeye, I'd eat that for lunch and dinner every day for 40 days.
That does sound amazing. Now, Baldy, how good are the barbecue ribs up there compared to down here in Texas?
Oh, come on now. I mean, there's Texas barbecue. Like just drop me into Rudy's or, name a place. I could just kind of basically graze all day long.
So do they hold their own? Do you even attempt to find a good barbecue rib up there?
Well, yeah, of course you do. I mean, I know how to cook my own pork ribs. I got my own sauce, the whole thing. I can do all of that. But, Texas, like the first meal I'm getting is I'm going to Texas barbecue. But not just the barbecue. Like, I believe in saving room for the peach cobbler, for the coleslaw. Like, I'm eating it all, like all of it. All right, so I'm not just going to eat the rib and lick my fingers. Like I'm going to have the entire meal.
I always save room for the bread pudding. That's just it's delightful.
Absolutely.
So I'm right there with you. So how much did losing the MLS Cup final contribute to the sports misery in Philly, also losing the World Series on the same day?
Well, look, the Eagles are 8-0. It's the only thing that matters in Philadelphia. Yes, it would have been nice, to get a hit, to not strike out, every at bat against the Houston Astros. Like the game I go to, they don't get one single hit. They get shut out. No hit it. I felt like I was the jinx. But, the Eagles are 8-0, and this is an Eagles town. And so it's fly, Eagles fly. The Phillies gave it their best shot. I don't know. The soccer thing, I think you have a better chance to get an Eagle fan to watch the Bundesliga on Saturday morning than to really, follow the Union.
Okay, fair enough. What do you think about the Eagles have only beaten Kirk Cousins on Monday night? Is that a real thing with the prime time? And then the Cooper Rush Cowboys, do they have that good of a resume to get excited about, Baldy?
Well, I mean, you can only play the teams on your schedule, obviously. So they did thump the Vikings, and Kirk Cousins looked like Kirk Cousins in that day. 3 interceptions, and they pressured him pretty good. So, I mean, it's 6 weeks ago. It doesn't matter. But you would like a team, any team, that's going to go to the postseason, regardless of what the record is, to be tested, and to have to come back in the fourth quarter and, to have to rally and to have to overcome adversity. Like, you don't want to go in there 17-0 and not get tested. So hopefully the second half of the season, whether it's Tennessee, whether it's Dallas, whether it's the Giants, you want to get tested before this thing, gets to January in the playoffs. And I believe teams, benefit by that.
Baldy, can you take me inside the Lane Johnson barnyard weight room where it's just reeking of testosterone and you're throwing iron around? Like, can you paint the picture for us of what that sort of looks like there with you two animal beasts?
Well, I mean, look, there's a lot of iron. There's big, like it's made for big people. So all the machinery is oversized, and so,
right.
Whether it's the squat rack or whether it's, the dumbbells, like who has dumbbells that go up to 180 pounds? For what point or purpose would that be? Right. But there's dumbbells that go up to 100. So it's just made for big people, and so you don't have to tiptoe around and worry about breaking anything. It's all reinforced steel, and it's just, it's a great setting. Like Lane's got his OU pennants up there and his Eagle pennants, and there's a wall of fame with the guys that work out there that, somebody hand painted, gave me a kind of an honorary membership to the barn. The music can be loud at times. So, it's just, there is a lot of testosterone, there's a little iron. And at the end of the day, you feel like you're a little bit stronger than when you went in.
Oh, I guarantee it. Now, Baldy, what is the most impressed you have ever been in a weight room viewing a teammate of yours? Maybe it's yourself. Maybe you're just looking in the mirror. What's the most impressive thing you've ever seen from one of these monsters in a weight room? Well,
I'll be honest with you. I mean, I think I saw Larry Allen. I think we all saw it. I think we saw Larry Allen bench press 700 pounds. Like I think that's right.
Yeah.
Like I think there's some YouTube thing of Larry Allen. I've never seen anybody be able to move that much weight like that. So I think Larry Allen still, I think I even asked him about it one day, but like that's still for a football player that, did as much, just moving big bodies like his own for a living every day, to be able to do that, blew me away.
As always, Baldy, you're awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. You bet.